Please click like and subscribe and that little notification bell for the next episode.
Now if you look at this hamburger, we've got all kinds of stuff in it. We've got bacon and cheese and lettuce and tomato. You squirt a little on there like this. And now here's the challenging part, getting this big, giant, wide hamburger into my mouth. And you know I have a little mouth. And this is an excellent all-American burger. When you think of an all-American Route 66 experience, this is where you want to come and eat your hamburger. Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you for letting me have a bite of this. I'm going to have another one. It's so good.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Taking this home with me. Lorraine Hunt.
I've lived in Kingman for 58 years. 58 years ago, all of the town was in what we call the downtown area. This particular building that we're in now was the chemo shell station. Anytime you went any place from Flagstaff, you went on Route 66. So I particularly remember a trip to California. It was so hot going across that desert. We had a little bulldog, and the bulldog had some sort of a fit because he got too hot, and Mother poured the water from the thermos on his head so he could cool down. I'll always remember that. And then we had no water. We took a tent because there was no place to stay along the way, and at night we would camp in the tent and then get up in the mornings and continue on our way.
Okay, Lorraine, thank you very much for sharing all that history with us. The railroad is very much a part of Route 66 because the railroad and the old road follow each other. Okay, we're in the museum, the Powerhouse Museum with Karin Goudy.
In 1858, Lieutenant Edward Fitzgerald Beale was assigned the task of finding a wagon road along the 35th parallel. Jefferson Davis shipped in a bunch of camels, started at Fort Defiance in New Mexico, and came across the 35th parallel, across the Colorado River, and on into California. In 1882, Louis Kingman, who was an engineer, came through here establishing a railroad route. The town really began to grow about that time. And the National Old Trails Highway, which was built between 1913 and 1926, was almost the exact of what became Route 66. In about 1929 was the Dust Bowl. If you could get a photo of this picture, this is a small town in the Midwest, and this is the dust clouds right here. The farmers had overgrazed, and then we had a drought, and the dust blew and blew. The Depression, a lot of people would leave the Midwest and take Route 66 to California. Only about 8% of those people who migrated to California actually stayed. This is the way they traveled, in these old flatbed trucks, and they would camp on the side of the road. It was a very hard life. The children particularly suffered. During the Depression, there was works programs to pave Route 66. After World War II in the 50s were the good times. This is a 1950 Studebaker, which is an example of the good times. And the 50s was the time of the new garages, the chat and chews, the little diners, the motels along Route 66. In 1957, Route 66 was bypassed and I-40 took its place.
Thank you very much for showing us your museum and sharing the exhibits with us. Route 66 spurs were created when new alignments were built.
The spur in Kingman is larger than most and is linked to the Kingman Railroad.
Okay, we're on the original segment here of Route 66 with Josh. Josh Noble here, he's like in charge of Chamber of Commerce?
Tourism.
So Department of Tourism here in Kingman. And Josh is going to tell us a little bit about this segment of road.
So we are on one of the original parts of Route 66. This would have been National Trails Highway. Started back in about 1918 and then in 26 incorporated into Route 66. As you look at it, it follows the lay of the land. That's how Route 66 initially was, being developed from following Native American trails, which went from spring to spring, and they went the easiest way around. So you get a lot of different beautiful views through here. This is also the stretch of the road that Americans would have traveled during the Great Depression. It goes between two railroad tracks. There's a track on one side and the other side. 1922 is when they put the second track in. So there are some areas in town where the old original road has railroad track on top of it. Route 66 was rerouted to go through town.
Thank you, Josh, for telling us the story, and appreciate your assistance in telling the whole world about Route 66 and this alignment.
Well, thank you, Vincent.
We continued west on the old road after spending a night at Kingman.